Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of October 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Before the reading begins, if it resonates and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost and hang out with an extraordinary group of people, and they really are. I just love the bones of all of them. So if that's something that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right. Gemini, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Gemini, please? Oh, there's the first one. Oh, I had button blindness there for a second again. Every time it kicks in. So, we've got the Emperor. And it's showing up sideways. And we're going to leave it there like that, actually. Tell me about current energy for Gemini. Thank you. Same again. We've got the 3 of Wands. Also sideways. What's coming towards Gemini, please? We have the 10 of Swords. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. And the Queen of Wands in this particular deck actually fits with what I'm seeing with these cards coming out sideways here. In so much as there is contemplation of action here with the Queen of Wands. And these 2 cards here, recent, past and current energy, seem to be revolving around an indecision about the right way forwards. You know, we're going to pull some clarifiers and get into this a little bit deeper, but it seems like this is all fire, right? We've got double Aries here, and as I'm recording this, the full moon in Aries has literally just dipped beneath the horizon. So we have notions of initiation, right? What direction are we going to go in? The Emperor is about how we structure things, and that seems to be a little bit, you know, a little bit off kilter at the moment. We have the 3 of Wands also not committing to being in the upright or the reverse. And it all contributes to this feeling of there being a great deal of indecision around what happens next. You know, indecision as to how to plan or strategize for what comes next. And also, you know, the actual execution of whatever it is that is happening. Let's get some clarifiers out on the table. Pick those all up. And I say that because this Queen of Wands here, you know, she's sat in a state of contemplation. She looks almost like she's meditating next to the open fire there. And because the Queens talk about, well, for me, the card that look to make sense of something, whatever suit they represent. So, you know, with the Queen of Swords, we have this idea of making sense of what we think, you know, sorting through information, looking for the truth of something. With the Queen of Cups, it's making sense about how we feel, right? And what we're going to allow on the basis of what we feel. This Queen of Wands is contemplating what she will do. And that's why I feel like these all speak to the same sort of thing. So let's get some clarifiers out. Tell me about the Emperor, please. Whoa, okay, so there we have confusion. We've got the High Priestess. It's so funny. Although the High Priestess for me is a card of Pisces, I see her coming out for Gemini quite a bit. And there's this kind of the weird association with Gemini that I keep getting off the High Priestess. But nevertheless, there she is, and there is the world, right? So tell me about the 3 of Wands. Thank you. 2 reversals, Ace of Cups and the Star, both reversed. And tell me about the 10 of Swords, please. Oh, fucking hell. Chariot, sideways, 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. There we go. We've got the Emperor in the upright, and we've got the Hermit. So we've got the Temperance card at the bottom of the deck there, speaking to variously themes of balance, themes of healing, but things of a temporal nature. You know, we're talking about timing and things like that as well. You know, like, has enough time elapsed? Will you have to wait for time to elapse before the sense of what's happening here occurs to you? Possibly. could speak to patience. And that's an interesting thing. Actually, I've said these are all fire cards here, but they're actually all Aries cards, which is really interesting. I forget what the designation is for this card. It'll be something in Aries. Excuse me. And so all of it concerned with initiation, all of it concerned with action, all of it concerned with what you will actually do about a particular thing. And so then the Temperance card does feel like it is an exhortation to patience, to time, to waiting, because although the Ten of Swords is not a particularly enjoyable energy, I think it's probably a card that not really many people want to see. It is yours. And, we haven't just had a full moon in Aries, it's also it's doing a thing. Is it conjunct the South Node or something like that? Oh no, it's not the full moon in Aries that's going to do that. It's the eclipse. Yes, beg your pardon, solar eclipse. Strike what I said there. It's not relevant about the South Node. But when I talk about indecision about what one does next, it could be giving the idea that it is to a particular situation that you have in your life. And that might indeed be true. But there could be a broader issue here, where you don't feel quite as in control of your life as you would like to. The Emperor in the upright is a great card of getting your shit together, right? That's my key phrase for that card, getting your shit together, or maintaining your shit, just stopping your shit from falling apart and that sort of stuff. When it shows up in the reverse, we tend to get often more interpretations that seem to talk about control issues or being controlled by other person, right? It's the shadowy aspect of the Emperor. So there is over restriction and over control and over rigidity about a particular thing. Now, it's showing up sideways here. It's not committing either way, right? It doesn't feel like it's in a powerful position when it is sideways like that. So it could be that there are things that have been happening that have felt like you were losing control of a situation or losing in some way your your mastery of it, right? The maintenance of order over your existence, because things are happening that you don't have any control over. But I get this feeling with you, Gemini, that it's actually something that runs deeper than just a specific situation. It feels like it's a kind of, I don't really know where I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going. I don't really know what any of this means that I'm feeling right now, because there is quite a bit of feeling going on. But also a sense that this can't last forever. A kind of awareness that you've been moving towards the end of something, but you don't really know what it is. And maybe everything's just been tickling along the way that it always has, but the Seven of Cups here, we talk about it in terms of illusion or confusion, right? It's when you've got a whole, array of emotional things going on, and it's just difficult to get hold of one and have that be your cup. It's a bewildering array of options, maybe it's a bewildering array of feelings about things. But if the Eight of Cups, which is the next card on, does designate a kind of completion because you are moving away from something, then this Seven of Cups feels more to me that, yes, it has notions of confusion about it, and yes, there might be an illusory quality to what it is that you are feeling, because you're trying to work out what is real and what isn't. The Seven of Cups becomes an awareness, just as the High Priestess is an awareness that something is coming to an end, but having not a clue what it is, what aspect of your life it concerns. and where you go from here. It's almost like you're treading water at this point, Gemini, because you don't know what else to do. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that's probably the only thing that you can do in this situation. You want to see that Queen of Wands sitting there very peacefully next to the fire, trying to make sense of things. Often with you, Gemini, you need more information. Right? The Gemini is absolutely primed to always be looking for new information about things, right? That swift mind that's always crunching new information and finding somewhere to put it. I just don't think that there's any new information coming in. Did we not talk about something along these lines last month? I can't even remember what I called your reading last month, but I'm getting a kind of weird deja vu in the words that I'm saying here. Because you want new information, and new information's not coming. And so you're having to sit with your emotions about it, but you don't even really know what those emotions are. And something's coming to an end, but you don't really know what it is. There's a sense of kind of coming very, very close, within sniffing distance of the end of a cycle, but without knowing what part of your life that's going to affect, or what it's going to look like when it happens. It's impossible to come to a decision about how you will proceed from this point on. And so you're in this holding pattern, you're just treading water. But the World card does not speak to a small ending, a small completion of a cycle. This is a big one. And so I wonder if the information that you're looking for is purely internal at this point, without necessarily realizing that that's what it is. There's a passivity to the High Priestess. We've got, apart from the Hangman, she is pretty much the most passive card in the deck. She's just letting things happen, letting things wash over her. And I think that's what you're doing. But I wonder if there's a little bit of anxiety about it. Well, I imagine there is a little bit of anxiety about it, because it just feels a little bit chaotic at the moment. And until whatever this ending is really presents itself properly, you really don't have a choice but to sit with this vast array of emotions that are kind of, in you, without you, all just kind of flowing around. And the difficulty is in trying to make sense of that, because you're trying to pin a set of emotions onto a situation that hasn't happened yet, but you feel deeply and innately it is on its way. It's almost a little bit like the calm before the storm. There's a feeling of anticipation and maybe a low level of anxiety about it. And at some point this is going to hit, but you don't quite know what it is yet. So when we move into your current energy, we've got that Three of Wands also showing up sideways like that. Yeah, there are probably like traditional tarot readers fainting in horror all over the shop that I would read it sideways. But I do, yeah, I feel like it's that not committing one way or another. And it's the energy of the card not being able to commit one way or another, because things have not happened yet that would either dictate which way you're going to go with something, or produce the energy that allows you to make the decision about it, So the Three of Wands, which for me is a low-level card of manifestation, in so much as it talks about what it is that you do to start bringing those things towards you that you are trying to manifest, right? Lover's card, card of manifestation, Gemini card. Yeah, we're going from a point of contemplation to action in the movement between the Two and the Three of Wands. And yet again, it's sideways. It speaks to the fact that there could be things that you could do. And maybe there are things that you've been trying to do, but there's almost like a futility. That's the feeling that I've got, like an absolute futility in everything that you're trying to do at the moment. It's just not reaching the boil. it's like you're staring at a saucepan of water on your cooker and it's just like boil, boil, boil. And it just seems to be stretching out for an interminably long time. And then we have these two reversals. The Ace of Cups in reverse and the Star in reverse. Now, that's the card of Aquarius. I should be calling these. These are the 4 fixed signs, like Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Pisces. Aquarius. I said that. And the Star can talk to lots of things. It can talk to healing. It can speak to vulnerability. It can talk to the idea of where you're going, you know, what your highest hopes, goals, dreams, aspirations are. Like, what does the future hold for you, right? Very Aquarian position. What does the future hold for you, for the world, for anything? I mean, just as a side note, Gemini, if you found yourself scrolling social media incessantly, like I'd get off that pot, because that's not doing you any good at all. I would just be for some of you, but not all of you. You know, if you're finding yourself kind of just staring at a screen, right, looking for information that way, that's probably not the way to go. Because the Ace of Cups in reverse speaks to something being closed, emotionally closed. And it's like you can't see the future because something within you is closed down at this point. And whether that's as a defense mechanism against the uncertainty that you're feeling right now and this holding pattern that you feel like you're in, or whether this is something that runs a little bit deeper than that, has more of a historic quality to it, I don't know. But if the Ace of Cups is this big opening up, right, this big, we'll often see it to represent, you know, spiritual awakenings and things like that, right? But the idea is that we've got this action happening. Then with the Ace of Cups in reverse, it is happening in the reverse. It is closing down, it is blocked, it is delayed, it is in some way obstructed, and the energy is not flowing as it should do through there. I mean, for some of you might just be in a complete state of overwhelm. Now, I've picked up this deck here, and we've got the Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which, you know, although it is a Pentacles card, the eye is always drawn to the emotional maelstrom that's going on in the background. I mean, very, very fitting with what I'm seeing going on here, where it's just like a flood of emotions, but nothing to anchor to. Is it your response to the uncertainty right now? Are you being triggered by the uncertainty? Are you being triggered by having too much information and not being able to find the relevancy of it for you? Find out where it relates to you so that you can situate yourself in time and space within it. That would be possible for some of you as well. But tell me about this Ace of Cups, please. Oh Lord, right, so you've seen me shuffle these cards back in, right? I shuffled the cards quite a few times before I There's the Two of Pentacles coming out again. Four of Wands, Two of Pentacles, and we have the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, right? This, you know, everything that I just said about the Two of Pentacles absolutely stands. With this additional meaning of coping, which I'm seeing the Two of Pentacles speak to a lot, I think every single sign that I have read for this month, and if not every single sign, then certainly the overwhelming majority of signs have seen the Two of Pentacles come up somewhere, and the meaning has been the same each time. We are talking about where it is that you carry out the performative action of coping, but where it is, it's for the benefit of either people outside of you, or it's for the benefit of your ego. Like, look, I'm coping, everything is cool, right? But I'm coping because I'm not turning around and looking at that is behind me, and that is pretty perilous. That is, you know, like I said, it's a complete emotional maelstrom. And what does it mean? Where is it coming from? How do we navigate it? But it seems to me like there's no possibility of you contemplating the future until you can work out what this is here. And we've got the Four of Wands. Now, the Four of Wands is my card of home, but it's home from a kind of energetic perspective rather than the four walls that you live within. We're talking about the people that feel like home, the situations that you put yourself in that feel like home. One of the things that I often say about this card is, for me, the Four of Wands denotes those people that you would contact if something went really, really well in your life or something went really, really badly, right? Who would you reach out for comfort from? Who would you reach out to celebrate with you, right? Both of those are encapsulated in the notion of home and comfort and all those sorts of things. But if we look at it another way, it is the follow-on from the Three of Wands. Now, you can't reach that Four of Pentacles if the energy of the Three of Wands has not committed either way. So the Four of Wands is also the construction of a new foundation, one in which you can experience joy and happiness and comfort and all of those things that we like from home. It's not available to you at this moment because all of the portals that you could use to walk through from one card to the other are closed. And we have this huge emotional maelstrom happening behind you. So is it the contemplation of what that will look like and you don't know because you don't know what it is that's about to close out, what it is that's about to change? The Nine of Swords is a card truly of getting up in your own head about it. And it's not going to come as a surprise to you that it's a Gemini card, right? It represents overthinking, anxiety. It can talk to depression and things like that as well. But fundamentally, what it's talking about at its core is a loss of perspective somewhere. It's like you are allowing yourself to lose your perspective. Because the nines represent, for me, the way that you manage whatever suit they represent, right? So Nine of Cups is how you manage your emotions in amongst other things. The Nine of Swords is how you manage your mind, or indeed whether your mind is managing you. Now, one thing that aside from the Two of Pentacles showing up in just about every reading that I've done, the other thing that has been coming through as a really significant theme in all of the readings has been the extent to which everybody is struggling with the uncertainty of what is directly in front of them. And I've actually, with personal clients, right, referred to the fact that it feels like there's a tsunami that's been kind of approaching at some speed, and this feeling has been getting stronger and stronger over the last 3 weeks. It was a little way off for a while. Maybe I just sort of witnessed the water getting sucked back, but it's coming, and it's like a wall of water, and it's literally here, and it's ready to break. But what does that look like? How are we going to experience? What sector of our life is that going to affect? Is it going to affect all of it? Is it an external problem? Is it an internal problem? I don't know at this point, because it's just kind of holding there for now. But there's a sense that whatever comes next is going to make everything considerably different to how it was before. And it's this holding pattern that seems to be driving you absolutely nuts at the moment. And so it's not a surprise to me at all that you would find the Nine of Swords being something that was sitting as a theme underlying everything. And we're going, we start with what's going on the surface, and then we go deeper, and then we're going deeper still. And then with the shadow card at the bottom of the deck here, it's another level deeper than that. And it's very easy to say, no, just be chill, just be patient, just wait for things to happen. But it's the uncertainty of what area of your life is about to have something change. Considerably, that is causing the anxiety. And like I said, and it's bringing up these feelings here that you're being asked to sit with, and it's uncomfortable. Now, when we get into October, we have the Ten of Swords in the upright. we've got the Chariot throwing itself sideways, and we've got the Emperor and the Hermit, right? So levels to things going on. The Ten of Swords represents that ending. Whatever it is that we were talking about, closing out over here, that which you have intuited ahead of time, and all of the uncertainty that's come from that, right? Whatever it is, it seems to me in the Ten of Swords is actually happening. Now, in some ways, this is really, really welcome, not least because we have the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck here. It's almost like the wave is cresting and then it's breaking. Right? So we go from the 9 to the 10. Well, this is what it is. And it's welcome because it's a 10. So within the tarot, it represents endings, completions. It represents uncomfortable endings, uncomfortable completions. But at least you know what you're dealing with at this point. And I heard someone say once, years ago, that well, you will notice, right, that we've got two, on the face of it, negative tens within the tarot, and two, on the face of it, positive. And I heard someone say that their old teacher had said to them that the, on the face of it, negative tens, which would be the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands, contain within them improvement, relief, letting go of things, and it's not comfortable, but the long-term aspect of that is really, really good. Whereas with the on the face of it, positive tens, Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups, there's an uncomfortable aspect to it because we want to hold on to those things. We don't want to move past those things. So those represent the accumulation of everything that we've put our energy and effort into. And so when, as all things do, stuff starts to change, we tend to cling to what was rather than what could be. And obviously, when you have those more negative energies, you want to push through those because it's not a comfortable place to sit and you don't want to stay there. In all cases, though, what follows from the 10, be it positive, negative, or whatever, is an ace. Because everything runs in cycles. Energy runs in cycles, experiences run in cycles. The tarot is representative of the cycles that we all go through. So we've reached something that is uncomfortable, unpleasant, we don't like it. Maybe it's a peak in how, in our perspective of things. So we're pushing through anxiety and straight out to the other side being like, oh shit, everything is bad. It's a card that represents rock bottom in some ways. But from there, the only place that you can really go is up, right? Now, I don't think that you'll all be hitting rock bottom in October. Please do not misunderstand what I'm saying. But certainly, what we have is a representation of a holding pattern that is breaking. And it's breaking in a way that is uncomfortable. But it's clearing up a lot of the agitation for you, emotional and mental, I think, because again, it's like, at least I know what I'm dealing with here. We've got the Chariot showing up sideways, another non-committal energy, which is interesting. This speaks about, victory and moving forwards and being successful. It also speaks to shadow work and balance and all those kind of things. This, as my partner would put it, is a slamming on the anchors, right? This is a hard stop in terms of the direction of travel. And again, we don't have a commitment to an energy either way. Not stopping, not moving forwards. It's hanging in the balance. So we have a state of something completing here, an ending in a way that you didn't really want it to. But at the same time, we also have a corresponding level of relief because at least you know what you're dealing with now. And then we have the Chariot, which doesn't want to go forwards. It doesn't want to stop. It doesn't really know what it's doing in the sideways presentation. There's more energy of, I don't really know what to do about this. Relieved that I know what the situation is, I'm relieved that I'm not drowning in my own emotional responses to the holding pattern that I've been in. But I still don't quite know how to move forwards from here. And we have the Emperor and we have the Hermit. The secret to, getting your shit together, if I can put it that way, is going within. It's self-examination. In some ways, as uncomfortable as this has been, it's been the deficit of new information coming in to illuminate the way forward for you that has forced you to sit in a very uncomfortable way with how you feel. For some of you, that might have had you actually overhauling, well, no, not overhauling, like mentally examining every different aspect of your life to see if perhaps you could get some sort of insight into what it is that is not working and what it is that is going to change. Maybe there's been a bit of fear about the good things possibly changing, or maybe there have been things that have been uncomfortable in your life and you're like, fuck, I hope it's that thing. That would be really great if it was that thing there. I don't think that you have been able to see what it is, but you've had a really useful opportunity to go over all the bits of your life and see what represents things that are valuable, things that make you feel peaceful and things that make you feel anything but. And maybe for some of you, you've started to see where there's a bit of you that has been closed off to the possibility of emotional engagement with a future. Some of you might have not dared to hope because there feels like something destabilizing about attaching to an idea of how you want things to go, because simply you just don't really know how things are at the moment, So I don't really know where I am in time and space here, so it's very difficult for me to make a decision about where I'm going. That's an uncomfortable ending, there's no doubt about that, but it does represent, as I was saying, a break on this mental tension. And it shows you where you can start bringing back a little bit of control to your life. And it's within. There's an implication here that it's very difficult for you to control external circumstances. Well, ever was it thus, right? This is not an external situation whereby it's a resource issue or it's some sort of practical matter outside of you. That's gone wrong. Like, for example, my partner has been thinking for days that on his drive back to the airport there was going to be something that went wrong with the car, and absolutely, I just got off the phone with him an hour ago. That absolutely happened. But it happened in the perfect place, and because he'd already thought about it several days before, he knew exactly what he was going to do, and he did that thing and then got a taxi to the airport and it was all fine. Right? We're not talking about that kind of situation here for you, Gemini. It's not like you get a bit of precognizance about an external situation that's going wrong and you're like, well, this is how I'm going to solve this issue. It's an internal state. So there might be something outside of you that requires dealing with, but it's actually more about what's going on inside you in light of this thing ending, in light of this thing going wrong. And this is why you've been made to sit with your emotions about it for a little bit on the lead up to it. Tell me about this Emperor, right? Yeah, there's the Queen of Wands again. Oh, look at that. The Aries energy here is just off the fucking charts for you. Queen of Wands and Emperor again. Like, both of them sat in a state of contemplation. Oh, this is fascinating. Ace of Cups is now in the upright. So again, it's not about what you do. It's not about the actions that you take. It's about how you are marshalling your internal resources, and your emotional state is a huge part of that, but also opening your emotional state up where you perceive it has closed down in light of uncertainty, in light of fear, whatever it is, right? There's something here that can crack open for you. But the whole month seems to be very internal for you, even though we've got all of this fire energy, which is absolutely outwardly expressed. Fire and air tend to outwardly express. This is having you go within and look at where you can change bits of yourself. Oh, this is interesting. There's a whole shades of the Leo reading here. What I said to Leo was that they needed to look to change themselves rather than to try and change the situation around them, or change the way that it was about changing the way that they showed up, adjusting themselves to meet whatever this was. And it's a really strong implication that there's a very similar sort of energy going on here for you. I mean, maybe some of you have been perplexed by the emotional responses that you have had to essentially nothing at this point. And it's likely that your mind's got involved and hijacked the situation, and now there's been this tension between, you know, the overuse of swords, 9 and 10 of swords, far too many swords in the equation, and then emotions that you don't seem to know what to do with. And how the fuck do you dovetail all of this together so that you can move forwards? This is the thing that needed to happen, so that you are prompted not necessarily to look for your way forwards, but to make sense of what's been going on inwards. The Emperor showing up here 3 times, Gemini. And the Emperor represents order, structure, sometimes authority figures. But I feel like this is you becoming your own authority figure. You know, for some of you, it might have been contemplations of actions already taken. But it feels much more forward-facing than that. It's almost like you've been trying to push forward, but there's no being held back by an invisible force field until you turn around and look at whatever it is that's emotionally chipping away at you. Seems like a really reductive thing to say, chipping away, when you've got all of this water happening in the background here. This is really interesting. Right, I'm going to go over to the extended now. So you're very welcome to join me if you would like to do so. You can do that on Vimeo or you can do that on Circle. But if neither of those appeal, I would just advise you to keep breathing this month, Gemini, because you're not being picked on individually, specifically, to struggle. There's something collectively going on here which is causing you to look within and identify that which needs rectification. I feel like once you've worked out what that is, everything else just starts to flow. But there's a certain amount of internal mastery here that is required, right? Imposition of order on your internal state. And you're going to have to go looking for that till you can make sense of what all of this is. And from that point onwards, I think this is where the certainty and the clarity about what your next steps are, or even, you know, what it is that you are wanting to achieve and where it is you're wanting to go, start to appear. Temperance card had it right. And you've got to be patient. You're patient with yourself as much as anything else, you know. So I shall leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.